Hi guys, Inky Vaper here, and today we're going to be looking at the Sigelei 213 temperature control box. I've had this since Vapers Expo, been using it virtually every day, well pretty much every day since, and you know, it's proved to be a bloody good workhorse. Now you'll see when we go to the up close, you'll see that the this took a bit of a bad spill, and if any of you guys follow me on Instagram, you'll have seen the photographs of my K-Fun V4 that got smashed in the process when this fell out of a top pocket of a jacket and basically just took a right good old tumble straight into a concrete floor and smashed the tank, skidded along on the front piece here, and there's a few sort of scratches on the zinc alloy gunmetal portion, but it's still working, it's still kicking ass, doing really well. The carbon fibre stood up extremely well, and there's no scuffs or marks on that at all, even though it took a right old tumble. So what we'll do is we'll go down, we'll take a look at this up close, and then once we've done that, we'll come back up and we'll go over the pros and cons, and I'll tell you what I think. So let's go down, and I'll see you in a minute. Hi guys, this is the 213 Sigelei. As you can see, nice box here, all the usual gubbins all over it, etc. This just slides out, just put that to one side, and then you've got a very RX200 looking box with this sort of like wireframe drawing of the actual mod itself, Sigelei on both one end, a little holography thing, and nothing on the other side. This just slides out like so. Inside you've got a manual, which is reasonably comprehensive. Instructions of the security code and how to use that, a warranty card, and the mod itself. Okay, put that to one side. There's also, in this little box, there's also one of the shortest USB leads I have ever seen in my life, which we won't bother getting out because it's a fiddle, and I'm sure you've seen a USB lead before. Let's get the box out of the way. Okay, right, so here is the device itself, and as you can see, as I said in the introduction, I dropped this from kind of chest height, really give it a good wallop into the ground on a concrete car park with gravel everywhere, and as you can see, there's some little dinks and nicks out of the paintwork, but the actual carbon fibre, and yes, it is carbon fibre, this portion here is carbon fibre, that stood up really well, and it did actually, I mean, it took quite a kick in, and it's still working flawlessly. So although I've made some cosmetic scratches on the actual box itself, it's actually stood up quite well. Okay, so here we've got the fire button on the side here, USB charge port there, up to 2 amp fast charging if you wanted to charge on board. I don't suggest that you do, it's not something that I tend to do. You've got your up and down buttons here on the front and the screen. On the top we've got a stainless steel 510 connection, and that is a, let me just grab a pointy thing, that's spring loaded. It is pretty stiff, but it is sprung loaded nonetheless. Very good solid 510 connection, not had any problems with any atties screwing down and fitting flush on this, because this is 29mm across here. You can put, I mean, I've had the Goon on here and various other sort of bigger size devices, and they fit on there nice and fine, no problem at all. At the bottom here we have the battery door. You just basically just put your fingernail in there, pull towards you, and that just plops up like that. As you can see on the brass connection at the bottom there, you've got your plus and your minus buttons. Your batteries, you just slot in there. If you can see in the bottom there, but there's the connectors as well. So we'll make sure that we've got the positive at the top on this one, negative at the top on that one. push it down and click it across, and there we go, we have a device working. Now the reverse battery protection does work on this. I know that for a fact because I put the batteries in the wrong way the other day and wondered why it wasn't switching on or working at all, and it worked. You know, I just literally just took the batteries, realised that what I'd done like an idiot, and just popped the batteries out, put them in the right way round, and hey presto, there we go, it was working. Right, now, so this device is on straight away. As soon as you put the batteries in, it is on. There's no delay, there's no kind of waiting for a boot up screen or any of that kind of malarkey. As soon as you put the batteries in, it's good to go. You can really see that dink up here on the the side of it there, but it's just literally, it's just surface on the paint. The actual metal itself, the zinc alloy that this is made out of, has really stood up well to the bashing that it took. And as you can see, where there's scuffs there, there's no scuffs at all on the actual carbon fibre. Now this is a really light device considering it's a dual 18650 battery. In fact, what we'll do is I'll just show you the size comparison. This is the Sigelei M class, and as you can see, if I put them together, it's actually, the 213 is actually a touch shorter than the M class, which is a single 18650 battery, and it's near as damn it the same width. Okay, so it is a tiny little thing for a dual 18650 battery. And weight wise, let's just pop the weight scale out. The 213, sorry, the M class is, you probably can't see that on camera, but that's 269 grams, 269.5 grams with a battery in it. And this with two batteries in it is 221.8, so 222 grams, say. So there's quite a sizable difference in the weight on this thing. It is extremely light, considering it holds, like I say, two 18650 batteries. It's a joy to hold. It's really good in the hand. I mean, I've got big old paws, but this still, even in somebody who's got smaller hands, are going to be able to handle this. You can thumb fire it quite easily, finger fire it just the same. We've got Allen key screws at the top, on the top here. They appear to be the only screws. I've not tried to take this apart. Not overly keen on taking mods apart unless I absolutely have to, but those two seem to be the only actual connecting screws for the whole thing, so I would imagine they probably run right the way through the carbon fibre body and into the bottom here. Right, so let's have a little look at the battery, the device itself and its features. So as you can see, if you can see that properly, let me just see if I can grab a bit more focus maybe. There we go. Right, so let's bring it that way a bit. You've got here we've got 18 watts. It's set in power mode. There's no ohms being read at the moment because there's no atomizer on it at the minute. Then it gives you the voltage that it would be producing, but obviously that's dependent on the ohms of the device. Okay. And then it gives you a live, as you can see in the bottom here, it's giving you a live voltage reading of each of the batteries, and then gives you percentage and a battery bar. So that's really good. I like the display on this. It's nice and clear, it's bright, it can you can read it very easily out in daylight. It's a really good clear screen in my opinion. So if we want to go into the selection of the modes for this, what we do is we click the fire button 3 times, 1, 2, 3, and we've got choices. So we've got, it's on power at the minute, we've got stainless steel, titanium, Ni200, TCR and TFR. Now the TCR and TFR are temperature settings that you can put in for various different wires, so you can actually customize what wires that you're going to use. And I'll show you, I'll do a little, after we've done this little up close bit, we'll do a bit on the actual computer screen, and I'll show you a couple of sites where you can get the values for the TCR and the TFR. But for the time being, we're just going to click through and go back to stainless steel for the minute. Okay, so we go into stainless steel, highlight stainless steel, press the power button, and then we've got a choice of 304, 316 or 317, and again you can just cycle through those using the plus or the minus button to whichever one you want. So I'm going to put 317, and then you've got a choice of Fahrenheit or Celsius. So we'll stick with Fahrenheit because I've been using Fahrenheit since the early days of temperature control, and I've never really got used to using Celsius, even though I'm in the UK and we use Celsius. So anyway, just click it on there, and now as you can see we've got the temperature that we're set at here, and that can be altered by just clicking up or down. That goes up in 5 degrees, which is plenty enough selection in my opinion to be able to adjust your temperature. Now the way that the wattage system on this works is a bit odd really. And what you do is you set your preheat on this in temperature mode to a value of wattage, and it'll hit that for however long you tell it to, and then once that's done, it will then throttle up or down the wattage as it sees fit in order to keep the temperature right. So how we get into that, this is a bit tricky doing it on camera because I'm using, so we hold down the up button and the power button together and hold it, and it comes up with preheat power adjustment, and then we've got the settings there. So now it's saying 57 watts for 0.5 of a second. So I can increase these by pressing the, I think it's the up button, yeah, and that goes up in like, that takes your wattage up and down. Okay, and then once you've got it to where you want it, say 59.5, we then hit the fire button, and that takes us to how long we want it. Now I've got it for half a second, and I find that to be the right sort of level, to be perfectly honest with you. But you can obviously go up in hundredths of a second, right the way up as far as you like, and then what will happen is it will fire at 59.5 watts in this case for 0.7 of a second, and then once it's done that, it will then regulate the wattage in order to keep the temperature how you've set it. It's not an ideal way of doing it in my opinion. I would have much preferred the Evolve DNA version, or the Yeehee version, where you set the power and then it regulates according to the power that you've got it at. But this is the way that they've gone. It works. It's just takes a bit getting used to start off with. Okay, right, so press fire again, and that takes us out, and that's us with our power set preheat on the power setting sorted. Now if we want to go back into power mode, we can go 2, 3, go back, and we've got power highlighted, click again, and we're back into the power mode. Now as you can see, I've got this set at 18 watts at the moment, and that's because I've been using it with my new K-Fun V5, which I'll pop on there now just so that you can see it with an atomizer on the top. So you know, it's it fires instantly. There's no delay. You can, right, so another feature for the board is press and hold that will give you your your temperature. Sorry, you can lock in your resistance on your coil. It will only do that in temperature mode, but you know, it's a function, so you can lock your resistance in there, which is great. If you hold down the trying to do this so that my fingers don't cover the screen. You hold down the down button and the fire. The buttons are now locked, and so if I now press up or down on the power, or the up or down on the power buttons there, nothing will happen, but it will still fire. So you can set it so that you set your wattage and you're not going to go, or your temperature, and you're not going to go anywhere with it in your pocket, and it will change. So if we want to change that back, just down button, press and hold the fire, and then it comes up with the button unlocked, and then we're good to go with adjusting again. Now there's no off switch for this particular mod, as you may know. With this though, what you can do is you can press the fire button 5 times, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's it locked. It now won't fire, won't do anything. So if you want to, if you're worried about it going off in your pocket or anything like that, you can just lock it like so. It's now unlocked by doing the 5 again. So that's the Sigelei 213 up close. As you can see, there's some dings on the gunmetal zinc alloy where I give it a right good kick in. But considering how heavily it fell and how far it skidded across the car park floor, I think this amount of damage is minimal, to be perfectly honest with you, and the carbon fibre really has stood up well to that bashing. It's a great size and form factor in my opinion, and it's really enjoyable to hold and use. Right, okay, so that's enough of the up close stuff with the 213. What we'll do now is we'll go up top, and I'll give you my pros and cons and my thoughts about the 213 from Sigelei. See you in a minute. Okay, this is the Steam Engine main page, which I'll have a link to in the bottom of the description there, so if you want to go to this, just click on the link down the bottom. The part that we're looking at is Wire Wizard today, so we're going to go click there. And as you can see, you've got coil set up, the temperature control table there, and the details about your wire, etc. So what we're going to do is just going to bung this up to, overshot slightly, a 3mm in the diameter coil. We're going to leave it at 8 wraps. Leg length is the length between the coil and the posts, and we're going to leave that at 5mm. And the wrap spacing, we're going to leave that at 0.05, because that kind of allows for a certain amount of gap with a contact coil. And what we're going to do is we're going to have a quick look. We've got under the temperature control on the actual device itself, you've already got nickel, titanium and stainless steel set up. The 304, 314 and 317 stainless steel settings are already in there, so don't really need to do the TFR for that kind of thing. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to actually show how you can set the TFR for things like Clapton. So we'll just select a Clapton in this part here. Now this has given us a different the type of Clapton that we've got. So we can go parallel, twisted, a Clapton. So your core wire could actually be a Clapton. So you're Claptoning on top of a Clapton. Why you would do that, I don't know. But we're going to go for parallel. So it's going to be like a fused Clapton. So we've got 2 wires. The first wire is going to be a single wire, and we're going to say that is 317 stainless steel, and a round wire, and we're going to say that it's a 26 gauge, so that's 0.4mm. And the same, I'm going to do the same on the second wire. That's 317 round, take it down to 26. Ooh, jumps about a bit so your mouse moves. Right, so 26, and again 0.4 of a mil. So that's our two core wires. Now we want to choose what our Clapton wire, our wrap wire is. So we're going to go single wire again, and we're going to go for a canthal. No, we're not. It's set at canthal. We're going to go for 317 as well. So click on that. And with the wrap wire, you're usually using quite a high gauge. So we're going to take that. It's jumping about all over the place. Take that up to 36, which is 0.127. Okay, so that gives us the the composition of our Clapton wire that we're using. It gives us what each one of those coils will actually come out at roughly in the ohms, and here we have a graph showing the temperature control results. So what we're going to do is we want the table here, so we click on table, and this gives us the values that we need to enter in under our TFR settings. Now on the 213 we don't use any of these first two settings here, and we don't use this 427 at the end here. It's just these 5 in the middle. So the first setting that it would ask you to enter in is this one, so that's the 1.0752. Then obviously as you enter those in, it will cycle through to the next temperature. So in this case it's the 150, you put in that value, 200 of that value, etc. Once you've done that, that's stored into the memory of the 213 for you under whatever memory setting that you're adjusting, and then that will allow you to use temperature control on a Clapton wire, which is really cool, I think. Okay, so that's the steam engine side of things for the TFR. If you've got any questions about TFR, just give me a shout. I've used it a bit, and I think it's actually really good, especially if you're making Claptons out of temperature control wires and stuff like that. You can really sort of tinker around with it. It does give you the settings for other wires as well, so it's worth. I haven't had a go at those yet, but that would be worth having a look at as well. And if you get any good results, let me know. Put something in the comments below, and I'll reply to you. So what we're going to look at now is the TCR settings for Sigelei. Because Sigelei for some reason have worked out their TCR in a different way to the way that everybody else has on the 213, they've actually had to release a tool here which gives you the if you wanted to put the TCR in for a specific wire, the values that you would normally use are different on here because they're using a different measurement scale on this. So what we're going to do is we're going to just show you the quick way of using this, and again I'll put a link to this in the box below so that you can have a look at it yourself if you want. So we've got a choice of different wires here. We've got 316 L, 316, 304, 317 L, stainless steel 430, titanium and nickel. So let's say we're just going to put in I don't know, stainless steel 430 because that's not actually contained on the machine, on the actual unit as standard. So we'll put that in, and you just click the equals sign, and it gives you the TCR value, which is 0.00077. Now on any other device that would probably be a lot higher number. But because of the way that Sigelei have decided to do their TCR on the 213, it's different. So you need to make sure that you use this tool, otherwise your TCR won't work particularly well. Okay, so that's all we'll show you on the screen. What we'll do is we'll go back to the upcam, and I'll talk to you about various other bits and bobs. I'll see you then. Bye. Welcome back up top, guys. So the Sigelei 213, as I said before, this was a purchase from Vapers Expo. I bought it from Grey Haze. It was £80, I think. Dual 18650 battery, very lightweight, but still a decent sort of heft to it because of the dual 18650 batteries. It kind of it's a good solid feeling mod without being too flimsy and too light, but it's at the same time it's not ridiculously heavy. Looks great in my opinion, apart from the scratches that I put in it, and for my money it works extremely well. And just have a quick drink. Now let's have a look at the pros and the cons. So we'll go for cons first of all. The TCR on this, in my opinion, even with the calculator, which we'll have seen on their website, I don't find it particularly a great vape in TCR mode. TFR works fine. The normal temperature control works fine as well, but the TCR I'm not overly impressed with, and I feel like they kind of dropped the ball a bit on that side of things. Another con is the fact that you don't actually set the wattage for the full duration of your temperature control vaping. You set that preheat like we showed in the up close, and then it regulates itself backwards and forwards, and you can actually feel it doing that, which can be a little bit annoying. It's not a deal breaker for me because, as some of you may already know, I'm not overly bothered by temperature control, to be perfectly honest with you. I have a tendency to just run things in power, just purely because, one, I think that the battery life lasts a lot better without using temperature control, and two, I feel that if you wick your devices correctly, especially drippers, you shouldn't be getting any dry hits anyway. It's something that I feel quite strongly about, is that if you learn to wick your devices correctly, you really don't need to be bothering with temperature control, in my opinion. Temperature control, I think, is really good for people who are just starting out vaping and who sort of gone into the more advanced side of vaping, but are still learning their way with the wicking and that kind of stuff. But I think if you're an advanced vapor and you've got used to how to wick stuff, you shouldn't really be hitting dry hits on a regular basis. I can't remember the last time I had one. Another, and it's kind of a con. It's not really a con, but it's Sigelei have announced that they're going to be releasing the 213 Fuchai, which is basically the exact same unit, but instead of having a carbon fibre body, it's going to have they haven't actually said what it is, but it looks like it's either aluminium or more zinc alloy. Now, if it's zinc alloy, it's going to make the whole unit a hell of a lot heavier. If it's aluminium, it'll probably be keeping the weight down, but at the same time, you're obviously going to lose some quality. There are going to be people who are going to be upset about the fact that basically the exact same looking device is coming out, and it's coming out for around £30 cheaper than this. I'm not bothered. I'm quite happy with this version of it. I'm pretty sure that the cheaper version, the body wouldn't have stood up to the drop that clumsy old bugger that I gave it. So yeah, it's a bit of a niggle. They've also said that in the Fuchai they're going to go back to the old method of doing TCR. So it's kind of almost like us people who picked up the original 213 have sort of beta tested something for them, and they've decided that it's not as great as they thought it was, and so they've gone back to the old way of doing TCR, which, yeah. The other thing, the USB port, it's balanced charger up to 2 amps. That's great. You obviously need to make sure that you have the right kind of charger and the right kind of USB cable to be able to handle that. I'm not a big fan of charging batteries through the mod. I've got my Luck V4 that I charge anything on, and so all my 18650s get whipped out and put in there. I've got 2 sets of LG HD2s which I use exclusively in this 213, and so I just take one set out, put another set in. The point about the USB cable though is there's been kind of discussion about, is it or isn't it firmware upgradable? Well, from what I've seen, I can't find anything anywhere to show that this is actually firmware upgradable, even though people were saying prior to its release that it was going to be. It's something that it should be. If it isn't, then I'm not. Then it's obviously it's a con. If it is, then why haven't they told us? Why haven't they told us where we can find updates for this? And why haven't they told us when updates are going to be coming or how to update via it? The one thing I would say is I'm not overly confident that it is upgradable, because every other mod that I have that's upgradable, when I connect it to my Windows PC via the mini USB, you get the little sort of alert noise come up on Windows to show that a device has been attached to you, a USB device has been attached to your machine. Don't get any of that with this. So make of it what you will. Still, even though this has been out for a fair while now, I've still seen no official notification from anybody that this is upgradable or not. So yeah, that's not great, not brilliant communication from Sigelei to their customer base, in my opinion. Right, enough of the negatives. Right, how about some pros? This thing, in my opinion, is absolutely gorgeous. When I first saw it, I wasn't overly impressed with it. I was kind of curious about it, but I wasn't that sure about it. As soon as I saw this and I held it in my hand at Expo, I was sold. It straight away. It's just a brilliant size for my hand. It's really comfortable. The sort of rounded sides at the side there, everything about it is really nice, very ergonomic. There's no sharp edges, no bits that dig in you. The buttons are all nice and easy to reach with your thumb or with your finger, depending on which way you want to hold it round. The 510 is excellent. It's really well made. It's good and sturdy. You've got everything that sits on it nice and flush. The fact that the top of it can take right the way up to sort of you probably have a little bit of overhang with a 30mm, but not enough to make it that bad, I don't think. So yeah, it's a good, versatile, lightweight, without being flimsy or chintzy mod. I love it in power mode. I've been vaping on this with this set of batteries now at around 18 watts. Admittedly, that's low, but I've been using mouth to lung tanks on it over the last few days, just to sort of play around with new tanks that I've got and stuff. And we've been using this. This is Sunday. I've been using these two batteries in here since Wednesday evening. So that's what, Wednesday. So half a day Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 4 days, 4.5 days, and I'm still on 65% battery power. Admittedly, yeah, they're HG2s, which give you a little bit longer, but the battery efficiency on this mod in power mode is ridiculous. I used this over the weekend at Expo. I got it on the Saturday, and I used it all day Saturday, all night Saturday, all day Sunday, all night Sunday night, all day Monday at work, at home. Sorry, I was off for the day, and I think I changed the batteries out, and they were still showing at like about 35%. I changed the batteries out at about 9 o'clock on the Monday night, and that was vaping at about 60 to 70 watts. Admittedly, you know, it's not the only device that I was vaping over that period of time, but considering I was giving it a fair old blasting with the limitless tank sat on top of it, I think the battery life on this in power mode is absolutely exceptional. Now, obviously, in temperature control, that kind of diminishes. It's not as bad as, say, the M class for battery use in temperature control, but it is obviously because it's constantly making those adjustments, making all those different readings. I think that does do something to the battery life of a mod when it's using temperature control. Having said that, I think that this is probably one of the nicest mods that I've bought in a very long time, and considering the price, I think it's exceptionally well made. Very, very tough, rugged device. I know for a fact that it can take a kick in and keep on ticking, because I threw it on the floor basically. It wasn't just a little drop, it was kind of like I was putting my jacket on and it flew out of my jacket, hit the ground from just above my shoulder height, because it sort of arced up into the air as it hit the car park floor, and I screamed no, and then proceeded to have an attack of Tourette's while I was trying to work out what I'd done to my mod and to my tank. But this thing is still working flawlessly even despite that, so I can't really recommend this enough, to be honest. There are some niggles. I don't think that the temperature control is perhaps the best way of doing it with the having to set the preheat, and I don't think that the TCR works particularly well at all, to be honest. But the TFR certainly works, and their presets work. I'm just not overly keen on the idea of the mod regulating the wattage rather than me regulating the wattage. But there we go. So I think that we'll call that a day at that point. This is the Sigelei 213. It's thoroughly worth. For me, it's been thoroughly worth every penny that I spent on it, and it's definitely a mod that I have used daily since I bought it. It's very quickly kind of overtaken my Sigelei 2C 150, my M class. It's just great. It even gets more use now than the RX 200, and I certainly thoroughly enjoyed using the RX 200. That still gets use, obviously. I'm still a fan of my RX 200, but for form factor, for ease of sticking in your pocket and all that kind of good stuff, this is just worth every penny, in my opinion. So if you're after one, have a quick scooch around Google. As I say, I got mine from Grey Haze at Vapers Expo, but there's plenty of people stocking these now for around the £80–85 mark. So if you're in the market for a good, reliable, sturdy, very classy looking, in my opinion, box mod, you can't go far wrong with this. Okay, so we'll leave it there, and I will see you on the next one. Take care, and if you like the video, please hit that like button, and if you haven't done already, why haven't you subscribed? Go on, it's only a click of a button, you can do it, I know you can. Anyway, I'll see you soon, take care.